I was teaching school in Boulder. I forgot something, a notebook or something I needed. And I ran home at like 10:20 in the morning because I got to the front door and my key wouldn't work, which is really, it's my own house. And so I rang the doorbell. Nothing. I rang it again. And the deadbolt was locked. So finally, my husband in a bathrobe comes running to the door and opens it up. And I'm like, why is the deadbolt on? And I remember him looking kind of nervous, and I just came home to get my notebook. But, I don't think I ever picked the notebook up because I felt a feeling of something not right in his nervousness. And as I walked by the steps to go down to the basement, I saw the lights on down there, and I thought, what in the world? And I went downstairs, and all the lights were on there, 2 coffee cups on the table there in front of the couch. And they're spread apart, it wasn't like they were right together. And I said, why are there 2 coffee cups here? Well, everything in me said something's not right. So I started searching. I went in the laundry room, nothing there. I just wanted to look around. I don't know what I was looking for. And I walked into the spare bedroom down there, and as I walked in, a young man ran out. He's running out as I'm running in. All I noticed was an earring in his right earlobe. And all of a sudden, everything started coming together. It happened suddenly, like, whoa, this is the truth. My husband was with this man, and he's a gay man, and my life is over as I knew it.
When 2 people marry and one of them is secretly gay, the whole relationship is surely going to be jeopardized. I'm Carol Grever, and I know this from personal experience. In 1991, my husband of 30 years came out to me, and our lives changed forever. There are so many who have suffered from this secrecy and deceit. I looked for help, but there weren't very many resources out there. As I rebuilt my life, I determined to try to help those other people.
Sharing the closet of secrecy is horrible for most of us. For your own well-being, it's essential to find someone you can trust to confide in, a counselor, a friend, or a relative. Lots of people join straight spouse groups for support.
The basis of the Straight Spouse Network is personal, confidential support. The group is very much like a self-help group. It's peer-run. There's no gay bashing allowed. There's no telling people what to do. So it's a way for spouses to share their stories, ask questions for other people's input, and it's quite amazing to see people helping each other with insights that you wouldn't think that they would have when they first came in.
But people said, you had such a perfect marriage. What did you do? So it was that sense which it was my fault.
I remember when my daughter told me that, Mommy, you broke up our family. And I just couldn't believe I was hearing it, and at that time I think she was 3 or 4 years old, so it's not anything she could have made up. And I was just so angry, and I couldn't figure out what to do with it. So the next day I dressed in black, and I went out in the backyard, and I dug a really deep hole, and I took off my wedding ring, and I put it in the hole, and I buried it.
But for me, the reality is I still haven't gotten over this. And I had this picture that we'd be growing old together. I really wanted to have for my son, an Ozzie and Harriet kind of family life where he was going to grow up with an intact family. I don't dwell on it all the time, but the hurt never entirely has gone away.
Straight spouses go through intense pain and anxiety. Trapped in the closet of secrecy, it's easy to despair, even though they survive and may eventually thrive.
And he broke down in tears, and he told me, yes, I'm gay. And I hear people having an out-of-body experience. I don't know that I really had one, but I can still see myself in a fetal position, and I am screaming.
I think that was my lowest, when I realized how upside down my life had become. Were we going to try to stay together? Were we going to divorce? What were we going to do? And we laid awake in bed one night and just said, I think what we really need to do is let each other go with love and still be friends, be as close as we've always been, but we need to be true to who we are. So we both said, yes, a divorce is what we're going to have to do. But the next morning was a beautiful sunny morning, and we got on our bikes, and we were going to go for a ride, and my heart was breaking, but there was also a sense of relief. Well, I think for Sam, the relief was indescribable. And as we rode down this dirt road on our bikes, I was behind Sam, and I could see him as if this load had been taken off his shoulders, and he was like a little boy who had just learned to ride a bike. And he was grinning from ear to ear, and I was happy for him, even though I knew what was ahead of us was going to be very, very tough. But he told me later that that was a moment of bliss, that he could finally be who he was.
Male and female straight spouses experience similar distress and similar stages of recovery, but some individuals choose unusual paths.
I had the idea that maybe I could take the kids on a trip around the world and possibly write a book about that. But more important to me was that I wanted to forge a family of 3 out of the ashes of our family of 4. I wanted to use adventure as our crucible, but it was mostly a time for the 3 of us to lick our collective wounds. The fact that I'm not afraid to lead a life that's a little bit out of the ordinary and take some chances has really stood all of us in pretty good stead. It feels to me that grief and loss are the glue that binds humanity together. It's the one thing that's universal, and it's how you deal with that kind of tragedy or loss that really determines what kind of person you are. And for me, and for my kids, I think we've come out on the other side of this loss, wounded for sure, but not scarred to a point where we're disfigured. I think we're stronger, fuller human beings for what we've lived through.
This documentary explores their challenges, mistakes, and victories as models for others who may later learn that they, too, are straight spouses.